You know, most of my videos nowadays tend to be centered on video games. It's been like that for almost 2 years. I have received suggestions to review anime, and the reason for why I don't do that is, for one, I'm not a reviewer, and two, I don't usually have that many big things to say about any series that I typically watch. But given how ever since the beginning of my channel, I've never really had the chance to talk about anime as a recurring topic, I decided to introduce this format of videos where I talk about smaller topics, whether they're news or just my impressions on stuff that I've watched, and compile all of them into one video. Or maybe I'll just talk about one topic if the content is long enough. I feel like doing this because my channel recently has been largely a reflection of the interests I typically have. Unlike before when all I did was review cartoons, but now even if I have to show terminal commands, I'll fucking do it. Yet I never talk about anime despite the medium being more important to me than even video games. Now normally I don't tend to keep up with seasonal anime weekly because I usually prefer binging shows all at once, but because of my recent schedules I've actually come to realize that watching bits of episodes within 3 to 6 days is actually more viable than planning to watch a full series in one sitting. That made more sense during college when I was bored as fuck, but not when I have to work 9 hours almost every day. So for this reason, I'm keeping up with a few shows, but the two ones that I've been the most interested in are Bocchi The Rock and Do It Yourself. Now Bocchi The Rock is an absolute banger of a series. I love it to death, and one of the things that drew me in initially was the main character because, well, I mean, there's no other way to put it. She's literally me. Every single thought that goes inside her mind is scarily similar to mine. There are just so many ways she manifests her social anxiety, like how she easily melts when people praise her, but she's also so self-conscious that she won't let herself become overconfident and will easily put herself down. I just identify with her so much, and another thing about this series that really makes me resonate with it even more is the fact that it reminds me a lot of the state of people from the current generation. Like for example, the fact that Hitori started off with uploading videos on an equivalent to YouTube. And I can tell you one thing, I follow a lot of singers and guitar players that would especially upload covers of songs, and some of them I've even seen being promoted to bigger music records. There's just something cool about watching a series where the main character is probably living the life of someone out there that I follow on YouTube. Even to some degree, I would even say that I kind of see myself in her shoes as a YouTuber, because even though I'm not a musician, I completely understood the feeling that she felt uploading videos and getting validation from people in the comment section, but at the same time, maybe the qualification scores that you get on the internet won't entirely reflect how you succeed in the real world, and that's what Hitori has been dealing throughout the series. She's actually a good guitar player, but she's more of a solo guitarist and hasn't yet mastered playing for a band, which requires more synchronization. This series has been holding my attention pretty much ever since it first aired, and 7 episodes in, I'm pretty excited to watch this until the very end. Now, as much as I would like to talk about Do It Yourself because I also really like this series, I'm going to hold it off because depending on the direction of certain character arcs, I might be planning to write a bigger piece on it. On a side note, there's this one series I was watching a couple of months ago called Isekai Uji-san, and unfortunately it got delayed for quite a bit of time, although it actually started airing again 2 days ago, even though I still don't see any episodes on Netflix. The latest one is episode 7, even though 8 should be the most recent one, but I mean, man, I just fucking love streaming services. But anyway, recently a new Sonic game was released, and Kadokawa arranged this cool YouTube video where they had Yosuke record a let's play. And if you know anything about this series, you probably are well aware of the fact that this man is a pure Sega fanboy. And given how he had been isekai'd for so many fucking years, it made me really happy seeing him play a new Sonic game, and he sounded so excited to see Sonic in 3D. Takehito Koyasu did an amazing job portraying his reactions. So yeah, pretty adorable video, can't wait to watch this lovable bastard again. For the next topic, I'm going to talk about the Yuru Camp movie. Now, this is interesting because when I got into this series, what primarily made it special was the educational, almost resembling a government-funded series with a lot of focus on step-by-step instructions for camping. And it was great, I love the series, and this movie comes from a slightly different angle because it's not so much about the basics of camping, but more so participating in a redevelopment project for an abandoned site. And it was really cool. One character in particular that impressed me was Nadeshiko. She had a license to ride a backhoe, which really made me watery because if there's one thing about this movie that really took me in was seeing the main characters as grown adults. Like, I started watching this series when it first aired, so back in 2018, and during that period, they were in high school. So seeing them now as adults and participating in a big project like this made me feel so proud. And I mean, it's been 5 years since then. Like, it was my second year in college. Now I have a job, and the girls also happen to have their own jobs. Like, Rin is catching public transports just like me. She has work colleagues and supervisors that she has to communicate in order to arrange their tasks and schedules, just like me. Even though in general, they haven't even really changed that much since they were teenagers, their personalities are generally the same. If anything, some of them are recontextualized. You know how Aoi had this habit of saying usoyade whenever she was trolling? Well, there's a point in the story where it was the last time she was going to visit the school that she teaches for because it was likely going to be torn down, so she had to relocate to a different school. But it was still a saddening state to be in given how she had inevitably grown attached to the school. However, as she was talking to Chiaki, she left off the fact that she was upset, and when she realized that, she ended off with her signature line in order to brush it off and making out as if she wasn't as sad as she was letting it off. Of course, Chiaki probably knew that, but she played along in order to not bog down the mood. Another line that I really liked was when Nadeshiko and Rin were chilling in a hot spring, and Nadeshiko talked about how as an adult she has more money to spend on camping gear and even getting a license to drive, but even so, there are still things that even as adults she's still unable to obtain. Which, you know what? That is true. Like, bro, I still remember when this girl overslept and couldn't ride back home because it was night and dark. This same person that is being scolded by her sister is now a grown adult, and I am so proud. So yeah, this was a rock solid experience. Honestly, it makes me want to buy the entire Blu-ray collection and rewatch the series. It's a shame that Jeff Bezos has run out of stock, so I have to find it somewhere else, which is kind of annoying. Anyway, that's all I had to share. Peace.